Welcome to channel where I make your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now, today's video, we're going to talk about skill assessment. Should you really need to take a focus and to do a skill assessment? Obviously, if you have been following my channel for the past 2 or 3 years, you may notice that I always recommend a skill assessment to be done. However, due to COVID pandemic, there has been a lot of policy changes and expected. For example, the 482 visa, for a certain criteria, you're not really required to go through a skill assessment as long as you can prove that you have a post study work experience of 2 years, and they have been abandoned the skill assessment requirement temporarily, but I think they're going to do that for a long term. The 485 visas, which is the graduate temporary work visas, now would they actually extend this skill assessing authorities towards the whole skill migration scheme? This is the topic that I wanted to talk about. So should you really consider in 2023 really get your skill assessment done? Now, obviously, a lot of people had go through a lot of informations and medias, and you may notice, wow, there is such an occupation available for migration. A lot of people will kind of contact us or contact the relevant other visa agents or consultancy or law firms and inquire, oh, I am a welder, I am a carpenter in whichever the country that you're in. Am I eligible to migrate? Now, that's a very, very good question. But the answer to this is actually a couple questions back to you, and that which you really need to consider carefully. First of all, is your skill or qualification or license at the standard of what and recognizable by the Australian government? And secondly, what about your English level? Obviously, there's going to be a requirement on English level in order to lodge the visa. So a lot of people just bluntly looking into a lot of media. Obviously, those media, the goal for those articles is to attract the readers, so they gain more attentions, and whichever they make money from advertising or whatever it is. But the key here under the policy is those two key questions. Now, obviously, one is the one that we're going to talk about, is the skill assessment. Is your skill or qualification deemed to be at the standard, recognizable, and verifiable by the Australian standards? And that's the key here. Now, what do I think about these things and the changes coming up? Obviously, the government of Australia is looking to do a major change and overhaul the employment sponsored visa. But let's go back to the rule. Let's go back to the basics of what skill assessment is all about. And then at the second half of this video, well, the video is always short, but I will provide a little bit of insight of how I view and this will actually be, and giving you an advice what should be done. Shall we? Okay, so let's go. And this is the immigration website, and you could easily Google this. Or perhaps you want to use Bing, and with the Chat GPT, you can always do that too now. Now, skill assessment, the web page developed and it's publicly listed on the website from Department of Home Affairs. So what is skill assessment overview? Skill assessment are issued by relevant skill assessing authorities. So there are a lot of different other authorities out there assessing a specific occupation. So if you're a medical or health professionals, there are a lot of different ones, and there's engineer one, there's accounting one, there is architect, there's all sorts sorts. So you really need to find out what occupation that you're in and go through with the correct skill assessing authority. So you don't go to a assessing authority which assess all the trades, for example carpenter and chef, and you want to assess with your ICT profession. That won't work, and that you'll get rejected anyway. So make sure you find the correct skill assessing authority. A skill assessing authority is an organization that check your skill meet the standard. Here we go. That's exactly what I just talked about. So again, a lot of people comment and leave email me and left the inquiry saying, look, I am a licensed electrician in whichever countries. Can I come to Australia for work? Well, the question is really to those two questions that I said in the beginning of this video is your qualification at the standards that Australia recognized, and also do you have the correct and the right level English proficiency, which is out of this topic for this video today. Okay, so you really need to ask yourself those two questions. The combined list of eligible skill occupation, you can click on this link, which is very helpful. It gets you to the skill occupation page where you can search for your occupation and find out whichever the assessing authorities require to go through that one. Set out relevant occupation under 4 occupation list. Most occupation in each list have their own skill assessing authority. We can accept skill assessments issued by the skill assessing authority. So you really need, again, what's trying to say here is that you really need to get skill assessed. If not, probably cannot really do a proper visa there. It is a responsibility to contact the relevant assessing, so it's your responsibility, or perhaps you wanted to utilize an agent or professional to assist you on that one. Obtaining suitable skill assessment is mandatory for some visa classes. So let's have a look. You can see, and this is why I've been stressed out to tell a lot of viewers and my clients or who are interested about Australia, coming to Australia, you really need to get your skill assessed. So because once you get assessed, you can access to general skill migration, to employer sponsor visa, to temporary skill shortage, to a temporary graduate visa. So that's all, most of the skill migration programs available for other people. There are others, and the others one will be investment or the global talent, which is out of today's topic anyway. So once you get assessed, you can actually access to all these kind of visas. So why not get your skill assessed? Now, obviously, my view of the upcoming trend is numbers of visas probably won't require skill assessment. Now, giving you an example, because they are talking about they gotta push this out for the 485 visa, which is the temporary graduate visa, because obviously these people have already studied in Australia now, and that's obviously under meeting the Australian standards. So if they already meet the standards, why do they need to go through assessment? And there are a lot of assessment, they so-called provisional skill assessment, which is really redundant and wasting time and wasting applicants' money. The provisional basically assess that your qualification meet the Australian standard of qualification. But if you're already studying in Australian universities, obviously it meets the Australian standard. And why do they need to still go through a provisional skill assessment? So obviously they have purged that out for the 485 PSW stream, which is good. I think they should really do that for the JRP, for the trades as well, because the trades, the first JRP step is basically assessing whether the TAFE or whichever the institution have allowed you to go through a lot, enough numbers of hours of prac. I mean, if they haven't gone through enough practices or training, they cannot graduate. So why does the TRA, the Trade Recognition Australia, reassess again, which is a waste of time and money? So I think those kind of things will be, they gotta take those things out, definitely. Now for the employment sponsor, now there's an issue. I think the skill assessment is still vital. Why do I say that? Because they are occupations. You really need to get work experiences in order to be skilled. For example, ICT. You can study a lot. You get a lot of fundamental knowledges, but if you've never been in practice work experiences, you can't really be say that you are a professional there. And also, there are some other occupations out there, whether they are mixed. Why do I say that? They are programs out there offered by universities. You may find this in a lot of numbers of university. They are actually in the business departments, but they offer for big data studies. Now, does that actually meet the ICT requirement as a big data professional? That's question mark. So again, skill assessment authority is still vital there in order to get there. So I think last but not least, my advice here, I think the trend was towards you still need to get skill assessment, but at the stage of permanent residency applications. Okay, for the temporary or work, probably you don't need that, because all you need to do is assess your qualifications and skill work experiences. Having a skill assessment on top of these temporary visas, it's just not, I don't see a usable way there anyway. So that would be the trend. So is skill assessment important in the year of 2023 onwards? I think it will still be, because for a lot of highly professional, for example, the health and medical sectors, you still need to get assessed. But if you don't get assessed, how can we tell that your professional qualification meets the requirement or criteria? Anyway, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. I'll see you next video. Goodbye.